All right, thanks a lot for staying with us. It's still TVC Breakfast. We are still dissecting the President Bola Tinubu's address to the nation on Tuesday on the occasion of the 64th Independence anniversary. And now, of course, this segment is all about how far can we go with the President's mandate for improved mechanization across the country. African farmer Mogaji has been with us over the past couple of minutes. We now have a consultant to the Ogun State Governor on Agriculture, Mr. Wale Oyekoya, with us. It's good to have you join us. Welcome.
Nice to have you. Happy Independence Day.
Thank you. We wish you the same as well. So what were your takeaways on this issue of, enhancing food security in the country? So what were your takeaways? How optimistic are you that, food prices will drop?
I think the President has spoken loud and clear that it is time for us to move forward in terms of mechanization, which everybody has been trying to embrace, but it's not easy to go mechanization without supporting with some of this equipment that is needed. But now the federal government are of the opinion that, see, we are being confused with the population we have. We are still confusing that our population is still 150 million down, and we are closer to 300 million. So there's no provisions for that large population that we're having. And with what the federal government have said now, that every year they are going to be assembling about 2,000 tractors. And tractor is part of the mechanization of agriculture. And if you look at most of the state, they don't even have anything to show for mechanizations. And I'm still of the opinion that most of the social intervention that is just being given out, like a free money to some people, I think the money should be channeled down into buying tractors, equipment for the modern equipment for the farmers. And now that the local governments are being given power to be able to operate, I think the money should be going down to the local government with much monitoring and much implementations. That once this is done, and I believe you remember one time that most of the Southwest governors, they met in Lagos, that everybody should go mechanization. There should be a very synergy between all the 6 states in Southwestern government. And I think all the commissioners for agriculture in those 6 states have met. I think what we're waiting for now is the implementations of all those mechanization they are talking about. And the major buyers we are talking about here is Lagos State, with almost about 30 million people. So now we have to cut down what is really coming from the north. We should be able to feed ourselves. We have the manpower. We have the financial capability. So what is stopping us than most of this mechanization that we're talking about? And I believe it should be private sector driven. Because you believe that the government have no business doing business with agriculture. So if they can give in the power to the private sector, just like what my brother have said, I think we have a headway. And there's nothing you can do without much of encouragement from the government. I'm of the opinion that we should go back to the basics. And the basic just is very simple, that let everybody embrace agriculture. We should not be saying being power. And what have we even put forth? What has individually done? And I'm suggesting, and I've been suggesting about all this family farming, that way the government should support, especially the civil servants and the youths, with seeds, the equipment, and fertilizers. They are not going to eat the seed. Let the government support it to them. That way, most of the community will be able to go back to their environment. And once you're able to feed your nucleus family, then the rest can be taken out to the market, which is what they call community farming or flea market farm. They do it all over the world because the government cannot do everything. Let us be realistic. And the land is there. And most of the state, if you go there for land, for farmland, they will allocate it to you. So we all need to embrace agriculture and go back to our Minister of Agriculture's demand for it, that you need land for farming. And I believe the state government are doing such, especially in Ogun State. I can verify for that most of the farmland are being given out to people that are really interested in doing farming.
All right. Okay. So what do they need to present? Still on this point in Ogun State, what is it like? As you come, we attend to you, or are there some criteria that you need to have fulfilled before the government will now, come?
No, it's a very simple process. Right. Just go to the Minister of Agriculture or Minister of Lands in Ogun State, which I belong part of the Minister of Agriculture also. Just come there, show them your plan that you're interested. What part of agriculture you wanted to go to? Is it into the husbandry or into plants? Whatever you wanted, depending on what you wanted to do before they could know the expanse of land they're going to give to. Because if you want to plant maize or rice, definitely you need more expanse of land than you wanted to go into poultry or other stuff. So you have to show them your plans, and from your plans they'll be able to know where to allocate to and the size of the land, and few incentives are going to give to you, like fertilizer or seed or little grant for you to pick up. I'm very sure that that is being done in Ogun State. And the same thing in Lagos State also, which is the center of excellency, that if you go to the Ministry of Agriculture, I think they are giving out some of these little things that they can do. But mechanization is the way, because of the large expanse of population that we're having right now.
Okay. Is there a form of partnership between states, among states in the Southwest, for example, Ogun State, with its neighbor Lagos State, let's give Philip to this call. Every year we talk about mechanized farming. If Ogun State, for example, has the land, Lagos has the customers, to speak, the consumers, so to speak. What's the level of, interaction or engagement in this regard between both states? I think
there's a close relationship between Ogun State and Lagos State, especially with the governor. They are very close in synergy in terms of agriculture. That is why you see Lagos State with the rice milling in a mortar that is just lying down there. All what they need is input. And what is the input is the paddy rice, which Ogun State are really trying to be able to feed the milling in Lagos State. So there are a lot of closeness between the two states. And I believe with the governor in Ogun State now, because recently we discussed on how we can really be feeding the Lagos State, because they are the closest state. And if you see the closeness, definitely it's just a stone thrown that most of the products should be able to get to Lagos. If you look at what they are really consuming in Lagos, it's almost like 40% of the population. It's like 40% of the produce in agriculture in Nigeria. So the focus is really in Lagos State. The market is there, and the land and the manpower is in Ogun State. So, and with the transportation that they are, I believe the rail line or the train is there. There's a connection between Lagos and Ogun State now. So I believe there's a close relation between Ogun State and Lagos State, and I believe it's going to be more enhanced.
All right, let's take a break now. We're inching the top of the hour now. We'll come back, talk some more about our attention on the agricultural sector in Nigeria. Stay with us. Thanks a lot and welcome to the second half of TVC Breakfast. Still talking about the need for improved mechanization in farming in Nigeria. We still have Wale Oyekoya as well as African farmer Mogaji with us speaking about this subject. Coming now to you African farmers. So mechanized farming. But first of all, having listened to Mr. Oyekoya here, what's running through your mind?
Well, what is running through my mind is that we are both colleagues in the sector. Indeed. And that we'll be holding him responsible for outcomes in Ogun State now because of the consultant now. So, we all have scars in the sector. So the scars, the pain must be converted to profit right now. And that's why I'm now excited that he's there. And I hope they listen to him. But that means that we should see some synergy working better. More productivity, not production, and so if we all begin to do that, appointing a consultant is one. Listening to the consultant is what is mostly missing. And we've been around for a long time. Okay, so if they don't listen to him and we don't see results, we'll come here and appeal to them more. Right. Yeah, because we can talk vaccine and we can talk on media. And to talk a little around that mechanization. You see, the president has spoken about governors going into mechanization. They should not confuse mechanization to buying more tractors. Mechanization is not just tractors. Mechanization is the process beyond farming. And mechanization is not big tractors. Mechanization is cutting it into cottage. Small tractors that small units can use. They can plow, harrow, ridge, that is turn the soil, level the soil, ridge the soil. Most importantly, equipments to harvest, small equipments to harvest, small equipments that can do those operations and also carry a 5-ton. We can just copy and paste from India, Indonesia, Malaysia, China. I'm mentioning it so that anybody, we just need to copy and paste. Okay, so that mechanization is not tractor, because over the years, mechanization is just tractor, tractor, tractor. And when they even buy the tractors, it's just to turn the soil and prepare the land. We need tractors to be able to plant so that we can get population. People don't make money in agriculture because population is always very low. Where you should have like 50,000 stands of maybe corn, I'm a corn fan, 50,000 stands of corn. When you have 25,000, you cannot make the profit. Why? Because the charges is on the size of land, not the population, but the population will determine profitability. So we need modernized and mechanized equipment. So in a nutshell, we should not confuse commercial production with commercial farming. Commercial production is when we all, let's say cocoa, all of us, we are focusing on cocoa and we are producing cocoa in small scale, but the outcome is commercial. We are having higher volume. Commercial farming or commercial farming is now when you have big equipment to do maybe 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. There's a place for that. Most governors focus on big tractors to do big. But when there's a challenge in the economy, the big get affected first. Ed is seated here. Anybody doing anything big in agri sector, once there's a wrong policy advice, you are going down. And I can tell you this, from the Dangotes to the Koskaris, Olams, name the big players. Policy affects them, but the small and medium are able to shock it because their exposure is not as large as that. So commercial mechanization, we should get it right, as there's a place for the small and medium equipment all through the process to small cottage processing. It should be a chain. Once that chain is broken, we are having issues.
Right. And, poverty has said to be also a big factor, that has been mitigating the mechanization policy from thriving, so to speak, and, the know-how. So how is, Ogun State navigating around these challenges?
I think the Ogun State are trying to rejuvenate most of the farm settlements. What he just said is about small players, not the big players. If you are able to get the farm settlement like what used to be in the olden days, it's like a community that everything needed, like value chains, production, everything is centered there. And this is where most of the people that are very low in production comes together. And once they are able to come together, the government is able to give them all the necessary tools needed. Like what he said is not really too much of big equipment, like the weeding equipment, harvesters, and what to apply the fertilizers or the insecticides. This is what that is really needed. And appropriate road to most of these farm settlements so that you can be able to transport your goods from the rural areas to the urban areas. This is very, very important. So by so doing, by concentrating on the community and on the farm settlements, because in the farm settlement, you can have animals and crop doing together. Everything is interwoven. And it's going to reduce most of this poverty of people of low cartel that we are talking about. So definitely community, and as I said, family farming. Encourage people to go into this thing. In the olden days, we used to have it in the secondary school. When we were in school, we always eat from what we produce for the lunch. Either the maize, which I know he's a maize man. So through the maize or through the groundnut, we should be able to go back and encourage the youth. And the only way you can encourage them is from the secondary schools before to get the university level. Let all schools have a small place if they don't have much land for farming. That way, they'll be able to encourage and bring it up once they grow old. All
right, gentlemen, we have reached the point where we just have to, pause on our conversation for now. We'll come back to check with you on how it's all progressing in Ogun State, talking about the agricultural conversation and African farmer Mogaji. Thank you very much for always. We also hope to engage more with you on more positive trends in the sector. Gentlemen, once again, we appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
With us.
Thank you for having us.